So in my latest YouTube community poll, the results showed that many of you are interested in seeing beginner-friendly drawing exercises. And so I've created a series of fun and practical drawing drills to boost your skills. These exercises are all about making your drawings better. For each lesson, I'll take you through drawing drills that have a specific focus, and I'll show you how you can apply what you've learned to a fun sketchbook project at the end. Remember, it's not about getting everything perfect on your first try. So try to think of these exercises as experiments to uncover areas where you might be able to level up your skills. Let's dive in with drills for improving your straight line skills. You can use a regular HB pencil for these exercises. Today we're going to be drawing straight lines. We'll focus on improving accuracy, improving fluidity of movement, and improving your sketching speed. Start by sketching angled lines at about a 45-degree angle and spaced an even distance apart. Instead of drawing a single line, connect a series of short, light lines together using light pressure on the paper. This method allows us to refine the line as we go. Keep your fingers relaxed, and you'll probably find that you need to move your hand from the wrist. After completing 4 lines, draw another set, this time going in the other direction. You'll probably find that one direction will feel more comfortable to you than the other. I've been using a downward motion with my pencil, but you could also experiment with moving your pencil in an upward direction for the next 2 sets of lines. Remember to try to keep the space between each line the same, so you're having to use your eye to judge the distances. Now sketch 2 parallel horizontal lines across your page. I'm drawing from left to right, but if you're left-handed, you might find it easier to move from right to left. Use short light lines joined together. And if you struggle and your line ends up a little bit crooked, like my first one, then mark a dot at the start and the end of where you want your line to go and give it another try. This next exercise is similar to the one above, but this time try to put the line down in just 1 or 2 strokes between the guidelines. You may find it easier to do this if you're moving your hand across the page instead of just using your wrist to move the pencil. Visualize each line and fake it before you put it down, so you're getting a feel for the pencil's movement, and then gently lower the pencil to the paper to see if you're on the right track, and then commit to the line. Now change the direction. There's a very short line at the bottom here, and then the lines in this set will gradually get longer as we move across to the right. As before, try to keep the same space between each line, so you have to keep looking ahead and gauging the distance with your eye as you go. Notice how as you draw the shorter lines, the movement comes from the wrist. As you draw longer lines, you may have to move your whole hand across the page, so you can get the full range of movement across that line. Keep working your way across the page, sketching sets of 4 lines. Pay attention to the way you're moving from either your wrist or moving from the elbow, and move quickly and with a relaxed hand. We've got a few more straight line drills to do before we move on to our project. For this one, space some dots evenly across the page. Then add a second line of dots and space them in between the dots from the previous line. Now use these dots as a guide to draw a zigzag line. Try to draw each short line with just 1 or 2 movements of the pencil. For these short lines, your fingers and your wrist should do the work. Visualize each line and fake the movement first before committing to it, and then see if you can get in a swift rhythm as you move across the page, drawing one line, then the next, one line, then the next. Beneath this zigzag, we're going to add another parallel zigzag line, but this time draw it freehand without the dots. Use your eye to match the angle and length of each line to the one above. If you find this difficult, feel free to add some dots as guides, but try doing it freehand first. So each point of the zigzag should be directly beneath the one above. Now join up the peaks with vertical lines and see how straight they are. Remember to fake the line first and draw it with confidence in just 1 or 2 strokes. And don't worry if they're not perfectly aligned. Once you've completed these 3 drills, think about which one you found the most challenging. Write it down on your page and make a plan to revisit that exercise in the coming week, with a particular focus on improving the skills you're struggling with. You could even just practice drawing straight lines swiftly in any direction. And by swiftly, I mean moving quickly with a light and relaxed hand, faking the line first and then putting it down confidently. If you move your pencil very slowly, you'll likely end up with a wonky line. So we want to practice using a swift movement to create a smooth and straight line. This is how it will look if you're moving your pencil from the elbow. See how the hand moves across the page. And this is how it will look if you are moving your pencil just using your wrist or your fingers. The base of the hand is anchored to the page. Experiment with these 2 different ways of moving the pencil and see what works for you. Now let's move on to our drawing project. Begin by placing 2 dots down on the paper and connect them with a straight line. Then add another dot and connect this one to the previous dots with straight lines, so you're building a triangle. As you work on this drawing, consider how you need to move your hand to achieve a smooth, straight line. Keep adding dots and lines to create a multi-sided shape. It might resemble something like a cut gemstone or a crystal. If the distance between the dots is short, it's probably best to move from the wrist. For longer lines, you may need to work from your elbow to move your hand across the page. If any of your lines go crooked, just redraw them over the top. And that's why it's important that we use light pressure and we fake the line first. If you use light lines and 1 or 2 strokes to correct the line, then you shouldn't need to use an eraser for this project. Try this again with another shape. Start with 3 dots to form a triangle and then continue adding dots and lines to build the shape. And see if you can pick up the speed. Keep the hand relaxed and the pencil moving quickly and lightly across the paper. For this 3rd shape, have a go at building the crystal without using any dots as guidelines. Start with a triangle and then keep adding triangles, using only straight lines. Don't overthink it, just work swiftly and confidently. Even though we're creating something more representational, don't get too hung up on the final outcome. Focus on keeping the pencil moving quickly. I'm going to speed up the video here, but feel free to pause the lesson as you need to finish each shape. Try a small crystal shape using short lines. As you gain confidence, you can experiment with adding different straight line shapes like diamonds. Try a larger crystal shape using longer lines and working from the elbow to move your hand across the page. You might find that when you're drawing these longer lines, it's harder to get the line to go straight. If the first line is not quite right, just draw a couple of strokes over top to correct it. Pay attention to the way you need to move your hand to get the best straight line. How fast, how much pressure on the page. For a variation on these shapes, you could start with a diamond-shaped base and build the crystal upwards, adding on three-sided or four-sided shapes. This video is all about improving straight line skills, but let's add a little bit of shading. Keep an eye out for the upcoming Boost Your Skills video, which is dedicated to shading. But for now, let's go ahead and lightly shade some of these facets with a light value. This will add depth to the shapes. Experiment with different values, so some sides can be dark, some lighter, and some can remain white. And once you've added values, darken up some of the edge lines to make them more defined. When shading, move your pencil back and forth in one direction. It's very similar to drawing straight lines, except we're creating a rhythm back and forth. When you're shading these triangular shapes, it also means you're going to have to control the length of your marks as you move from longer to shorter areas, getting into those small corners. For a smoother shading surface, shade another layer over top of the first layer, moving in the opposite direction. Choose some corners to make darker. Darken up the lines coming from the corner with a flick of the pencil, and then shade the corner a bit darker as well. And this will start to create a subtle 3D illusion with some shadow. As you keep practicing straight lines, either by filling your page with crystal shapes or by shading the remaining shapes that you've drawn, consider which drill that we've done today has challenged you the most. Whether it's drawing lines at different angles, achieving even distances between parallel lines, drawing longer straight lines. Whatever it is, make a note of it on your page and commit to improving that area in your practice sessions. By thinking about what you found the most challenging, you're actually identifying where your weak points might be, and you can let these areas guide your practice. The more you practice the things that you struggle with, the more your drawing is going to improve in general. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you are beginning to see some progress. Always remember that practice equals progress, and just by taking these Boost Your Skills classes, you are making progress. Before you go, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell button so you can be notified when the next Boost Your Skills video comes out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.